Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Sports. I am Ralph Lavella.
And I'm Ron Sen, and the sports world is a gift that keeps on giving. This week, with the federal budget impasse, the Boston College Army game was threatened. But BC stepped in and said they'd help pay for Army's transportation and expenses. And I guess the game's going on. I don't know how much of it's going to come from BC.
And Annapolis and Navy, they're going to play. So
Right.
I don't know what's happening there with the money situation.
Well,
But they have the budget, don't they? I mean, isn't that?
I don't know where
how they
the
take
sports budget comes out of, in the big picture, the whole Defense Department. It's probably some infinitesimally small number.
Well, how we get into this position, I know there's a battle between the health care and all that, Obamacare, and that's the key there. They want to delay it for a year.
Well,
And that's the biggest problem they have.
That's why we like sports better. There's never an argument in sports. Not much.
Although I want to know who the idiot is that changed that one lane and where the Shell gas station is to get away from sports just for a second, backing up all the traffic to the high school during rush hour. But
Well, in any event, first we're going to talk a little bit about high school. And there was a terrific high school football game last week at Wakefield. Wakefield has a beautiful new football field, still not quite finished, but a great venue, great ball game. And the first thing I always want to say is we're talking about kids. They're not professionals. It's not perfect. There's turnovers in professional football too. People miss field goals. They miss extra points. But we're not talking about that.
and the refs have bad games.
But the quality of the football was really, really good football game.
Oh, it was an excellent game. And I mean, what a defensive battle. I mean, both teams, you could see both teams, the offense are thinking, we've done everything we can and we can't move the ball. Although Melrose moved the ball better than Wakefield did, and they had those penalties. They had 3 huge holding penalties, and their own fault, a couple of illegal procedure penalties, and then the non-call in the end zone when Wakefield scored their long
Right.
offensive touchdown.
I haven't seen the replay.
I saw it.
Okay, so what was I right that the guy pushed off?
You were 100% right. I go, you have got to be kidding me. I mean, on the replay, it was unreal. It was just pushed him, and then the ball came down to him.
Well,
that was Judware, I think.
Well, he
in
was
perfect
well covered,
position.
and then all of a sudden he was open, so it had to be a push-off.
I didn't see it during the game, but I saw it in the replay. It was unreal.
And missed calls happen.
But you know what aggravates me about that, Ron, is they missed that call, but they get Melrose for 3 holding penalties in key situations.
Yeah, it did have that, remember the Titans flavor to it as far as the officiating,
It was terrible.
I'm never going to say the officiating was rigged. It just seemed a little bit uneven at key situations.
But you know what thing, though? They don't have as many refs, too, in high school sports.
Sure.
It's tough to call those games. But, I mean, when you're finding 3 offensive holding penalties, and then you miss that interference.
Well, but even then, let's say it was the NFL, and they have a replay on a scoring play. If they don't call it, they're not going to say, well, it's offensive pass interference. It wouldn't really change anything. But it really was a great game, big crowd. Both teams played really hard. Melrose seemed undersized on the line, but they did a credible job. It was just one of those things that somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose, at least if you play overtime, which is a whole separate issue.
Yeah, and this is no knock. This is no knock on the coaches, because you and Jeff Marte both agreed that they should go for the point after to tie the game, to go in overtime. And I told you right from the beginning, if I'm away, especially in Wakefield, I'm going for the win right there. Because if you go, I know every year is a different year, but you go through the history of Melrose Wakefield, in the key situations, something goes wrong for Melrose. See it all the time. And I didn't want to take a chance of going into overtime. You've got to get 3 yards to win the game. It's the end of the game. They should have one play that I told you they should run a pitch option to Mercer or DeRaphael where the tight end just flares out into the end zone. They're going to be looking to stop the run, and they've never seen it before in a little pitch. You should have that special play for special situations. And I mean, that's the way I feel.
Right.
I always feel go for it, be aggressive.
Right. Those who have seen Ralph coach baseball or basketball know that he is a very aggressive coach from the get-go, which, it's fun to play for Ralph. He always plays to win. We don't play to try to keep it close. And I think that the kids enjoy it that way.
Yeah, and I mean, I would have just loved it. I mean, you talk about the perfect setting. You're away in Wakefield. There's got to be, how many, 2,500 fans anyway.
Yeah, pretty good crowd.
You know, they scored that big touchdown. They did a great job moving the ball downfield when they had to. And I would have just loved to have seen it. I mean, that's it. I mean, you definitely go for it. But I'm not knocking the coaches because most people, again, you and Jeff said definitely go for the point after. You know, you don't make it, the game's over. But my feeling is you make it, you have that special play, you win it. But it was a great game.
Well, that's what makes great sports great. There's something to discuss all the time. And, you know, if they'd gone for 2, I wouldn't have said, oh, that's a terrible play. I would have just said that's a coaching decision, as they wanted to be aggressive and go for it. You know, I think that if they'd been running the ball more effectively, they probably would have gone for 2, or at least they might have considered it. But in that situation, since they really hadn't run the ball consistently, it almost gives away it has to be a pass.
Yeah, but if you pitch it to the back,
right,
they're coming up to and they were aggressive, Wakefield. I mean, both teams, it was just a great high school game.
Yeah.
But, you know, and then again, forget all that, Ron. I don't know what they're thinking about. This is high school sports. You have a great game like that. Both teams, neither one of them should have deserved to lose that game. There should be no overtime. If you want to have an overtime, I know what happened to Melrose years ago with that tie when they lost the coin flip. But that's to go to the tournament. I'm talking about, you know, during the season here, you don't do it. You just don't do it. Not for high school sports. That should have ended up in a 14-14 tie, and everybody would have said a great game. Both teams would have went home feeling pretty good.
Well, one thing we can say is that, especially when this week they play Burlington, this is a real must-win now, because when you're only playing 5 games before the playoff determination is made, and even though 2 teams potentially can make it into the playoffs, you know, you've got to win one of the first 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, the way their defense is playing, they're solid on offense. I think they learned a lot from that Wakefield game. I don't think they're going to see another team like Wakefield defensively. And they play Wakefield Thanksgiving Day, you know? And it's going to be a different, I think it'll be a different story, because, you know, Melrose just keeps getting better and better. And Melrose, even though they had a tough time moving the ball, they moved the ball better than Wakefield did. Wakefield couldn't do anything wrong.
Well, obviously, Wakefield scored on the turnover, which was
a huge,
you know,
turnover. I mean, that's what won it.
Right. That was fabulous play, great penetration, and they got the scoop and score. I can't really be critical for any aspect of the game. I thought the team played really well. Just, you know, they made a nice comeback. They had maybe 2.5 minutes to go or something like that, and had to move the ball downfield, which they did, scoring with 24 seconds to go. Just a terrific high school game.
Right, and like we said, I mean, the refs didn't do it on purpose. They just didn't have a good game. You know, a couple of calls went against Melrose, especially the pass interference call that really hurt them. But, I mean, both teams, Wakefield was very good defensively. Melrose was very good defensively. 2 real good teams. What I liked is Wakefield did everything they could to move the ball, and they couldn't. I mean, that Melrose defense got better and better as the game went on. And Melrose did move the ball when they had to. They tied the game, and other times 2 holding penalties where they would have had first downs in Wakefield's territory got called back. That killed them. And then that stupid illegal procedure penalty.
Well, and the difference between football and volleyball is that you've had one important Middlesex Freedom game in football, and volleyball's halfway through the season. They've made the turn at 9-1. Had a very good win on the road against Central Catholic, one of the best teams that they've played. Central lost some tough games, but Central's a very good team. Yeah,
Central is playing a tough schedule. They get killed by Andover. They didn't score 10 points against Andover in any of the sets. I mean, Andover must be where are they rated, Ron?
I think Max Preps had them 13th, something like that.
Andover?
Right.
Well, they'll be 1 or 2 at the end of the year, I'll tell you that.
Oh.
But you said that North Andover's better than Andover?
Right. I think North Andover beat Andover.
In Melrose, they're good against North Andover in an exhibition game, I heard.
Right.
But Melrose, like, I did the game, right? And I says, I talked to Jeff. Ron, you couldn't make it, so that's the first game I've done. And I told Jeff, I want some constructive criticism here. I want to give it. So I want to just, as the match went on, I want the people to, you know, if the kids are watching it, to see what they have to do to beat Bishop Fenwick. Because that's what it's going to come down to.
Absolutely.
You know, Bishop Fenwick's a powerhouse now. And Bishop Fenwick, they're so strong. They gave Melrose the Melrose State Championship team last year a tough match, didn't they?
Yeah, it
was
close.
Very competitive.
Mm-hmm.
And they have just about every player back, don't they?
Right.
So, I mean, they beat Melrose pretty good when they played them. But I'm looking at Melrose and I'm saying, okay, what do they have to do? And what I saw, Ron, you've seen more matches, the timing is off between the back row, the setter, and the front row.
Well, I think it was better. I saw the game on video, and it was better than it has been. Particularly, I thought the integration or coordination between the blocking of the front row and the back row has improved from where it was. Now, it's always hard to, you cannot compare a young team with a developing front against a state championship team last year. What you're trying to see is what is the potential for this group of young ladies, what can they do to improve so that they can be competitive against Bishop Fenwick next time. They lost 3-1 in a game earlier this season at Melrose. Two very close sets, and then Bishop Fenwick sort of rolled in the second half of the match.
Yeah, but what I looked at in that match against Central, and Central was better than I thought because their record was 3-3 going into that match, but you could see they have a good team, real good team. And in Melrose, the first 2 sets, I remember saying to Jeff after the second set, I says, Ron really likes one of these players at the net, and she's not playing aggressively. I don't want to name the girl, but in the third set, she played great, and she's leading the team in kills. And if she can play like that, I mean, the third set really came together. They fell behind, but then after that, it just came together. The back row, Jill McGinnis leading it. The first 2 sets, Jill played good. Not tremendous like she did in the tournament last year, but the third set, every pass she made was right to
Well, I think a lot of young players in almost every sport, it's hard for them to play to maximum aggressiveness until they have enough confidence that they're going to be able to deliver. You have exceptions to the rule. For example, just to name names, Victoria Crovo is a very aggressive player. She's going to hit the ball, even though she's a young player and doesn't have that much experience, she's aggressive, and she mostly will make the aggressive play.
Yeah, I saw that, right.
Right. Whereas another player with more experience might say, well, I'm not sure what the risk reward on this play is, so I'm going to make a conservative play. And against most of the teams that are mediocre or not as strong, it doesn't make that much difference because there's not a fine line between being successful and not being successful. Against the Medfields, Bishop Fenwicks, Cantons, you got to hit.
Oh, right, and you saw that, in the Central match when they fell behind a few times. They were too conservative. Like you said, Victoria, only a freshman. It's good that she's going through these experiences because in the second set, she won 4 points in a row with, I believe, 3 kills and 1 block. She did a real good job at the net.
I think that was the end of the first set.
End of the first set?
Right.
And then Lessing in the third set was tremendous. But you know what I liked in the third set? It kind of reminded me of last year a little because the back row, led by Jill, they were getting the ball to Allie Nolan right where she wanted it. And every set by Allie was right on.
Right. It's tough, from Amanda being setter years ago, if the initial pass is behind the 10-foot line especially or wide, then, it's really hard for the setter to set the front row in a good position.
Right. And what you could see is, it was, like I said, in the third set, after they got behind by 4 or 5 points, they just blew Central away. But the back row did an excellent job. All the passes were to where Allie wanted them. Perfect sets. And that girl, who's the girl that, is it
Hannah Mulcahy.
Mulcahy, when he put her in, she was a difference.
Well, it's always been the same in volleyball is that you need 3 strong attackers to be really successful. Last year they had Sarah McGowan, Jen Kane, and Rachel Johnson. And I think all three had double-digit kills in the state championship game. And, you just can't grow hitters on trees. They don't appear out of thin air. Now, Mary Lessing was ranked 10th in Massachusetts in kills per set.
Where is she? Is she a junior?
She's a junior, so she's making good progress. And then they need to have another couple of hitters.
What year's
Hannah Mulcahy is a sophomore.
Mulcahy's a sophomore, and Victoria's a freshman.
Right. Annalisa DeBarry's a senior.
DeBarry's a senior, and then you have
Marissa Cataldo's a sophomore.
I mean, they have a lot of...
Right. They have a lot of players who are similar in ability, have potential to improve and become dominant players. But it's up to the coaching staff to help mold them and develop them in the limited amount of time they have, and then sometimes it's a hard decision. If you have, 3 major hitting spots and, 2 or 3 people who are going to take those spots, it's difficult because there's always somebody who's going to feel like, well, I could have done the job if I had more chances.
Well, what I see, it's fun. Well, talk about this year. They still have 13 more matches before the tournament?
Well, they have 10, but then even the first match of the tournament, still they're going to probably have some really bad seed.
Well, what have you seen since the first 2 matches? Have you seen a huge improvement?
Oh,
I've just seen it on TV.
I think the overall play has improved. I think the serving's improved a lot, especially against Central. The back row's been pretty solid throughout. The passing can always be better, no matter who you are. But it's pretty good. As I like to say, lions and tigers are always lions and tigers. The idea is to get the dogs and cats to be jackals, because you can't get, dogs and cats are not going to be lions and tigers. But if they can be very aggressive, contributing mid-level players, then you have a chance.
I don't know how Coach Kelly's a great coach. I don't know exactly what he says to these girls. I don't know if he wants to put pressure on them or not. But what I would say to these girls, I said, listen, I want the back row, of course you're going to say this, getting the ball to the setter where she can handle it. I want the setter getting the ball to the net. And I want you girls that are playing outside hitter and middle hitter, I want you girls going for the attack every time. That's our goal. He must be telling them that anyway. But I think that's what their thinking should be, because when they get in a tournament against the real good teams, if they don't play that way, because I try to explain, like people watching it, watch now, if they don't attack them here, Central's going to come back, especially with number 21 at the net, and they're going to win the point.
Well, if you watch the Red Sox and they're down 1-0 in the 9th inning with 2 outs and David Ortiz up, and they have a huge shift on, and he bunts down the third baseline, you say, like, what was that about? Getting on base is not the answer here.
Yeah, but I mean, it was fun watching them, and I could see that, they're going to work on their game, and like a movie made, which doesn't bother me. One of our favorite players, Kat, in basketball, she was playing a lot early on, gave her a chance. She, as a freshman, which is natural, she was struggling a little. He had these juniors and sophomores who have been working, and he decided now, okay, I gave Kat a chance. I like this person a little better now, and they're playing more and more. Kat will get a chance. But the thing I want to say to her is, not necessarily do you get better during the season. It's when you're in the off season. You see a lot of girls that play in the off season. That's where, if Kat really wants it, her goal should be next year that she wants to be really good, and she wants to show Coach Kelly they has a player.
The classic example was a few years ago. Alyssa DeRaphael was playing middle and in the front. She, wasn't as productive at the front as Coach Kelly thought she would be in the back. So he took her out of the front, moved her to the back. They ultimately went to the state championship, which you can't ask for much more than that. And she was the Middlesex League MVP, playing in the back. So it's not, sometimes a position reassignment makes a big difference for you, and you're more effective.
But I said in that match, though, this is the best team I've seen serving the ball. They're unbelievable service. I mean, even little Maeve Moriarty's a tremendous server. The Barry's good. I mean, Jill is, and Allie Nolan, and and Barbaro.
Yeah, they have a lot of
and
potential.
Alyssa's good too.
Yeah, they did really well. Well, we'll be right back. Welcome back. It's the National Football League, and there's always a story. Dante Whitner on the 49ers, elected after a $21,000 fine from Roger Goodell to change his name So he's changing his name from Whitner to Hittner. So I'll just say I'm playing my name. But I guess the big story after 4 games is Denver. They're just looking phenomenal. The 6-6-6 madness with Demetrius Thomas, Decker, and Welker, all the 6-letter guys. Peyton Manning, 16 touchdowns. They look unstoppable right now.
Yeah, he still needs that offensive line to play great. He lost his left tackle, so, we'll see. It doesn't. The backup could be almost as good as him.
Well, and the other thing is, of course,
who they play though, Ron?
I know. As the season goes on in the NFL, it gets colder and colder, so the passing game usually comes in a little.
Yeah, when everything's going fine, it's easy to play the game. I mean, when everything's fine, but when you start going up against teams that are putting a little pressure on you, which is going to happen. Teams are going to, they're going to game plan for, against Peyton Manning. You have to put pressure on him. If you don't, he's going to stand there and he's going to pick you apart with those receivers. But don't forget, when they play the Patriots in November, they'll shut down one of the receivers with Talib.
Well, right. And my guess is they're going to try to at least give Welker the Marshall Faulk treatment.
They'll put Hightower on Welker and have him see if he can bury him a couple of times. Yeah, but by that time, the Patriots are going to have one of the best receiving corps in football.
Well, in what could be foreshadowing of what's happening against the Bengals on Sunday, the Zach Sudfeld equals Jackie Bradley era is over, as Sudfeld was released today by the Patriots.
You wanted him, Ron, though. How many times did Brady really look for him? I mean, I've seen him go out and pass patterns. A couple of times he was open. Brady overthrew him. And how many times? I mean, other than that, he's back there blocking him. He's not in the game. But they must be going through practice. But don't you have to think, if they released him, you think Gronkowski may be ready?
Well, that's the answer, is that Gronkowski's, I mean, if you're Cincinnati and they release Sudfeld, you probably have to say, oh.
Well, you got was it Mulligan?
Yeah. Well, Mulligan, he caught one pass for 1 yard. It was a touchdown, so pretty good action the other day. I actually went to bed early and DVR'd the game, so I would have probably gone crazy if I saw that 30-13 lead evaporate.
And let me ask you something, though. What do you think about that Seymour trade now? And I wonder what the New England fans think about that trade. Because you know what they got for him, right? Solder.
Oh, yeah, Solder.
They say he's the best left tackle in football now.
Well, he's certainly doing the job. And obviously the big injury story this week is Vince Wilfork. Now, I'm coming around to your view. Now, I know Wilfork occupies 2 guys, but he just didn't look like he was moving that well even before the injury.
Well, they thought that he might have had a foot injury anyway.
Maybe he was partially injured.
Yeah, he could have been. But I go back to 2 years ago, Ron. From 2 years ago up, people don't realize, and I don't know, Belichick, they gave him a lot of money. He was the #1 paid lineman in football, tackle, not because defensive ends there are a couple making more money. But if you watch the pass, well, you see the pass plays when quarterbacks go back to pass. Half the time he's on the line of scrimmage, sometimes just one blocker on him, and he's looking to go left or right, maybe watching where the pass is. He never knocks down a pass. He's too small, #1, and then he doesn't get in the quarterback's face.
Well, what I'd like to know, and I really have no idea medically the answer, the Achilles tendon is a shoelace, and Vince Wilfork is an enormous guy. How many players of Wilfork's size have come back from an Achilles injury and been able to be a successful player again? I have no idea, but I think that's a question.
I think he will, because he's a great athlete. He's an unbelievable athlete. And if you looked at his foot, and his leg when they had his cleat off, I was surprised that his ankle area wasn't that fat. He had the shape from his calf down to his ankle. Right. So I'm saying to myself, well, it's not like even though he's big up here, he's not that big down there. I know what you mean. He's carrying all the weight. How's he going to recover? But I think he will. But I've been lobbying the Patriots, and they don't listen, to take him out in every passing situations, because he's useless in there when a team's passing the ball. He actually hurts them. And everybody's knocking the cornerbacks over the years. Their biggest problem was from the middle, the interior of the defensive line, pressuring the quarterback, because very rarely did they get in at him, very rarely did they touch him, and quarterback could just look down the field, had no one in his face.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what they do schematically. Will they bring in just one of these other players, Villano, who was okay when he was in there,
and
again,
Jones,
next to Kelly,
the other Jones,
right? Or will he? Right, they could move Jones inside periodically. Will they move Hightower out to the end of the line as the defensive end? Hightower didn't look too good covering Tony Gonzalez. Wow.
No one did. Oh, they finally made a good adjustment in the last play when Talib knocked the ball away. They double teamed him at the line. He couldn't get off the line of scrimmage. But other than that,
the other guy who, again, I'm not a football expert, but Steve Gregory, what's he doing?
I thought the first couple of games he played pretty good. I thought he was their best back next to Talib. He plays safety though. I thought he was pretty good because I was watching him because a lot of people knocked him. But you know what I was thinking too in the game? When you got receivers like they have, and they send them down. Atlanta had two good outs, Jones and who's the other guy? They're both good
White.
receivers. And they take up a lot of space. What I mean by that is the defensive backs play 20 yards back.
Right.
So you got a lot of space for the tight end to go out there to maneuver. With a Patriots pass and attack, a lot of times it's in close, especially with Welker in there or Edelman, where their passes are all quick passes. So teams don't play that deep. So Brady doesn't have as much room to throw the ball to his tight end.
Well,
although Gronkowski can break that because of his speed and his toughness.
Well, and speaking of receivers, the Patriots made a big signing today, which is interesting. They signed Austin Collie, who is 27 years old and was very productive for 3 years, but he's had a series of terrible concussions.
And plus, they cut him this year, the Patriots, right? Was it this
No,
year or last year?
No, I don't think they've cut him this year, but
no, they had him early in the year, didn't they? And they cut him?
No, they didn't have Collie. Collie was the guy who played with Peyton Manning, but he had just some terrible concussions. And the Patriots have 4 guys that are injured right now, receiver on the limited practice list with Dobson, Tompkins, Amendola, and obviously Slater's out. Not that he's
well,
really
where was
a
he? He was a free agent?
Yeah, he was a free agent. He was the last cut from the 49ers this season. He's worked out for a bunch of teams. Apparently he offered to sign a waiver about concussion liability because he just feels that his career shouldn't be over yet. I don't know.
Well, maybe he'll work out for them.
No, he's a talented guy. He's a bigger guy. He's about 6 feet, 200 pounds, and he definitely knows how to get open. He can play in the slot or he can play outside. He's got ability. It's just he's got a scary health history.
Yeah, I mean, you got to worry about that.
Right. And this week they play the Bengals, so that they go up against A.J. Green, who's a terrific outside receiver, and we know that Talib's going to be on him. And then Ben Jarvis Green Ellis has had a pretty good career since he's gone to Cincinnati.
Right. He fumbled for the first time last week, but I mean, with the Patriots, he never fumbled, right?
Right.
That's why since he's good off tackle runner. Well, the Pats, to make up for Wilfork, who's good against the run, who's tremendous against the run, who will they have in the middle? I mean, they'll bring Hightower in a little. They'll bring a safety in if teams are running, on them.
The play that was a mystery to me was, how did LeGarrette Blount get in the open and outrun anybody? He doesn't look like he's that fast.
No, but see how quick he was? He did that in the exhibition season, too.
I know. He doesn't look that fast, but obviously he was that fast. Now, Tompkins, he's still an inexperienced player, but he made 2 fabulous plays. He made one play when he went up against the safety and just ripped the ball away from him, and so after that, Brady had to like that because he just threw the ball up in the air. That was a hope pass. And then he made a great play on the touchdown. I guess that's probably where he hurt his shoulder.
Yeah, but hopefully he'll be all right. But he's got to learn to catch the ball with his hands across the middle. He tries to catch it in on his body. Sometimes it's about like perfect pass from the other day, Sunday, and he dropped it. But Brady stayed with him.
Well, I like the fact
maybe
that
Boyce will play a lot this week. He's got to play a lot.
Somebody's got to play.
I feel bad for him because every time he's open, which Brady doesn't throw to him much, but he throws it and it's like 2 yards too far or a little too low.
Well, the one pass he caught last week, it was a shoestring catch.
That was a big play,
It was a bad pass.
So maybe he'll get a chance. He's quicker than I think the other 2 guys, too.
Oh, yeah, he's the legitimate deep threat. So, it should be interesting. I don't know. I haven't seen the line. It's probably pretty even.
It started off since he was 2-point favorites, then it was even 2 days ago. So a lot of people are betting the Patriots.
It's funny how you can just sort of predict how it would be just, eyeballing it. Normally you get 3 points advantage because you're at home, and then they try to figure out however they do it. You know, one of the big issues for the Patriots historically has been defensive passer rating. They have really struggled in that area. And this year they're 8th. Of course, they played against 3 bad quarterbacks. And talk about your life imitating art. Josh Freeman is now a free man, as Tampa released him. I don't know what happened down there.
Well, the problem with him is he's complaining about the coach all the time, and he was playing terrible. You don't knock anybody when you're playing like that. You know, and that really topped it off right there.
The other issue that came up with him is somebody leaked out that he was in the substance use program of the NFL. Apparently he's been treated for ADD or ADHD, and he's taking, you know, Ritalin or some medication in that family, which is a banned substance. But if you're on it for a medical reason, I presume that there's some legitimacy to that.
Yeah, they need a quarterback like Hoyer.
Well, you know, the NFL is so strange. You know, I think we were talking Sunday about Houston was beating Seattle, and all of a sudden go home and the game's over and Seattle's won in overtime.
I know, and someone told me Houston had won, and Seattle beat them in
probably
overtime.
me. I thought they had won.
You know, yeah, was it you? Maybe it was you that
Probably.
told me, yeah. But it's weird the way the whole season's going. Like Tampa Bay, I mean, they lost another tough game the other day. They were 0-4. They could be 3-1, but that's the way it is.
Well, and you look at the NFC East, where we've all had some rooting interest because, you know, 40 years ago, the Giants were the team that would be on television on Sundays. And the Giants are 0-4, so obviously Coughlin's skating on thin ice.
What is going on with them? And Manning looks like he's a rookie quarterback. I don't know what the heck.
I don't know. You know, they're getting pounded by pretty much
you
everybody.
know, that goes to tell you about quarterbacks, though, Ron, too. They say they're definitely the most important player in the team. But you don't have a good offensive line, and your receivers, what are you going to do? Like Flacco, he should thank God that he got that contract. He's got the best offensive line in football, and he had good ends until, you know, he lost a couple this year.
Yeah, Bolden went out to the 49ers.
Yeah,
That's a big loss.
I mean, they're giving him $20 million, and they don't even look at him and say to him, if I'm negotiating with him, I'm saying, listen, you know, we want to give you good money here, but you have the best offensive line in football, and you have one of the best defenses in football.
But nobody's really doing anything in that division. The Eagles are not good. The Redskins have 1 win. Dallas, I don't know if they have 1 or 2, but it's just a terrible division.
But, you know, you look at the schedule of some of these teams, the teams that are going, look at the Patriots schedule, really. I mean, they started off with three easy teams, but you look at the teams they're going to play. You know, starting off with Atlanta and going to Cincy's not the easiest thing. Then you got New Orleans coming in. You know, it is a tough schedule there. Then they have Denver coming in. Then they're going to, I think they're going to Pittsburgh. And then they're playing Baltimore, aren't they? At the end of the season.
I think they play Baltimore at some point.
Yeah, towards the end of the season.
And they still have to face Miami twice. It's pretty good.
Twice. So, you know, I mean, the good thing about the Patriots is they have that great offensive line. They get the linebackers to leave if he stays healthy with McCourty and them.
Yeah,
you know,
McCourty's much better as a safety. You know, so whatever it is, whether he can see the field better and react to that.
And their best defensive player hasn't even played this year.
Yeah, I know. What's the matter with Fletcher?
Fletcher.
He's just not on the field.
He's on special teams, and they're playing Collins ahead of him.
Yeah, well.
You wait till Fletcher's going to get in there when someone gets injured and watch the way he plays.
Well, there's certainly an issue defending tight ends and running backs.
And he's the best on the team, and they think Hightower, who weighs 260, although he's better than Spikes.
Well, Spikes only played 6 plays.
Well, that was a good move finally. They took him out because Atlanta passes the ball. I mean, remember last year in the playoffs against Baltimore, he couldn't cover anybody over the middle. That's why I'm saying to myself, why don't they put Fletcher in on those passing situations?
Well, it's still an issue. I don't know whether you have to go. I mean, they don't have so many extra defensive backs that you can play 5 defensive backs that often.
Well, the thing I like about the situation now, I mean, you don't want to see Wolfark injured, of course, because he's great against the run. But if teams are running against him, they'll just move Spikes into there. They'll move Spikes in the middle.
Well, it seems like some of these younger defensive backs, Ryan and Harmon, are not bad. I mean, they haven't got burned deep yet, at least. You know, and not like Tavon Wilson did last year.
You know what's unbelievable? You know why everyone get beat deep? You never see McCourty. You never see him. They have him playing so deep. He's not in any plays.
Well, it's got to keep the play in front of you.
I said, where the heck's McCourty? And he played something like 60-something plays. He played almost every play on defense. I didn't see him the whole game.
Well, he must be running forward the whole time then. Well, anyway, so Atlanta had a phenomenal record at home. So going in there on a Sunday night and beating Atlanta was a real achievement. Now, some people are saying that Atlanta's a choke team, so I don't know.
Well, they're injured too, don't forget. They had big-time injuries in that game. The offense was injured big time. Their linemen, they had 2 or 3 linemen out. They had their 2 cornerbacks out. You know, so, I mean, that was a big deal.
Well, let's switch gears a little bit. The Celtics have opened training camp, and it should be really interesting this season with them. The biggest problem, well, they got problems at the small and the tall end of things. Obviously, Rondo's not going to be back for a while, and that means Avery Bradley as point guard. I don't like that either.
I don't like that, but you like Pressey?
Well, I think that at least he's a natural point guard. I like Bradley as a player. I don't like him as a point guard.
Well, Bradley's great with Rondo. Without Rondo, you know, you saw it last year. His whole game falls apart, basically.
I'd rather have Courtney Lee play the point.
Well, I love Courtney Lee. I mean, he got injured last year and then
got in the doghouse.
You know, with Rivers, he doesn't think about, okay, the guy got injured, just like Middlebrooks this year with the Red Sox. You know, he gets injured, he comes back, he struggles a little, and, you know, they bench him. But Lee, I thought, was their best guard next to Rondo, and he's sitting on the bench as the years goes on. They're like Crawford. Crawford's still with them. But, you know, I like Courtney Lee. If Bradley, they say he's been working on his game from the point. Stevens has talked to him about it.
I mean, at the 5, they have Favarani, and that's about it.
Yeah, but won't it be fun watching him?
Oh, yeah.
He's got talent.
It'll be fun. The big issue is there's a log jam at the 4. You know, everybody's a 4. You've got Bass, Sullinger, Humphreys,
Olnick,
and Jeff Green. I guess he's going to play the 3. You know, and probably Gerald Wallace will back him up.
Don't forget these basketball teams in the NBA now, they go small big time. Yeah. You'll see Olnick in there with Sullinger a lot. You know, you'll see that matchup. You'll see Bass in there with one of them a lot when teams go small. A lot of teams. Miami goes small all the time. Those type teams. You know, and that's what they'll do. They'll match up against different teams.
Well, and there aren't that many really dominant centers in the NBA anymore.
No, but aren't you looking forward to this team?
Oh yeah, I think it'll be. I mean,
Wallace playing.
They're not going to win. They're not going to contend for much of anything. So it'll be interesting to watch them play. I think we both like Olnick. Sullinger, we'll see. I didn't play that much last year because of injury. You know, it should be fun to watch them as opposed to, you know, watching old guys lose.
And you know the thing too is, the funny thing is, all the players that are coming back from last year's team, they love Stevens. Well, they won't come out and say that Rivers was too much.
You get that sense that Stevens is a real teacher right now, and he's, you know, really focused on the fine details. And these younger guys, that's what they need.
You see what Humphrey said about him?
No, I didn't see.
Humphrey said that he's played for 4 coaches. This is his 5th coach that he's played for. And he says, this coach here is more on details than any coach I've played for. And he goes, I really enjoy playing for this guy, for Stevens. He goes, he explains everything, and he really gets things down fine that you didn't even understand. Defensive angles he talks about. You know, most coaches never even talk about that. You know, how to play the angles better. We talk about that all the time.
Well, you know, what you see, I was watching some film of a Calipari practice at Kentucky, and he's showing the younger players, they look like they had no clue on defense, like they'd never even played defense. Well, they probably didn't. They were probably scoring 40 a game in high school. Don't worry about defense, just score.
Well, I wonder what Calipari teaches anyway. I think he just gets the talent and has them play the game they like to play.
Well, that's probably, you know, the big issue for Indiana players over the years when Bobby Knight was there, they'd say, well, if you draft a player, that's as good as they're going to be because they already got great coaching.
Yeah, that's right.
Probably the same for Krzyzewski. Most of the Duke players, they're already, you know, well-schooled in fundamental basketball.
Team basketball, yeah.
All right. We'll be right back.
On and off the court, Visionary Basketball Group delivers programs that empower players with skills for athletic and personal success.
Hello, my name is Anthony Taylor, founder of Visionary Basketball Group, VBG. It's a year-round basketball player development organization ranging from preschool to college and professional level, girls and boys. We cater to all skill levels, starting from beginner, intermediate, and advanced.
VBG for about a year now, and I've gotten much better since I started, and my team just went to nationals and we placed 8th in the nation.
The Skills and Drills program here has been phenomenal. All day long, he can come and get an hour workout or more if he wants, and his game has completely changed over the course of the year.
Our players undergo learning experiences that position them for positive lifelong achievement on and off the court. With a year-round training philosophy, VBG can assist you in reaching your full potential as a player with conditioning, basketball fundamentals, position-specific training, and skills and drills taught by the best coaches in New England.
One of the biggest things that we have is our coaching staff, who do a phenomenal job at mentoring the players on a regular basis with the training, the teaching, and the knowledge. We operate 7 days a week. We offer over 30 sessions, and we're considered one of the top comprehensive basketball player development organizations in New England.
VBC has just helped me grow as a player so much. They really have good attention to detail, and that helps you with just the little things that not a lot of other schools and teams really think about.
VBC, it helped us with our handles, our defensive skills, our confidence.
Hi, I'm Lucas. I'm from Germany. I'm here for 2 months and I work on my game to get to a college in Boston.
VBC has motivated me to become the strong, independent, not just player, but student that I am.
I've been playing at VBG for 3 years, and it's made me a better basketball player.
Hi, my name's John, and I've played for VBG for 3 years now, and it's made me a much better basketball player. And my team just recently went down to Virginia, and we came in 8th at nationals.
And another key aspect that we do is that we have kids coming from all different areas, urban, suburban communities, uniting as one. And that's what makes VBG a phenomenal organization that helps kids gain confidence, leadership, discipline, self-esteem. And if you have a chance, come down and see what we do at Visionary Basketball Group.
For more information, visit our website at visionarybasketball.com or drop into our new Athletic Performance Center located at 152 Tremont Street, Melrose, Mass. VBG, complete your vision.
Welcome back. One of my favorite books is John Gordon's The Positive Dog. It's a story about dogs in a kennel and how important having a positive attitude is to being successful in the future. We're really blessed to work with young players in the city who are trying to develop their basketball skills, and it's a combination of 3 things going forward: skill development, game understanding, and developing the mental approach to the game that will create a successful player and team.
Yeah, it's fun. We started a clinic, this about a month ago for the middle school girls. I talked to Frank Oliveri. He called me in one day, wanted to know if we wanted to coach again. We've just finished up with this year's freshman team, and we talked about running a clinic for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. There aren't many 8th graders in the program right now, but so we've been doing it for the last 5 weeks. Sundays and Tuesdays for 6th graders, but Sundays for all middle school players. And it's been fine. The girls, they're at the age now and at the stage of the game where you can really see it, where they really need the coaching and they want it bad. You can see it in their face. You can see how hard they work. They're coming down. We've had up to 27 girls come down, and they're really working hard, and it's fun. And to get them, they've played for Jim Torpy for the last couple of years, and 4th and 5th grade, but now they're getting older, and now you really have to develop the game because they're going up against some strong teams. But it's fun the way they've been working.
Well, you talked about attention to detail and things like defending pick and rolls, running pick and rolls, getting open without the ball, using screens away from the ball. Most younger players really are not very familiar with those concepts. They know how to dribble and how to shoot a little bit. And, you know, they're always going to work really hard, but they need a lot of information to try to understand how to play the game, to really see the game. Really, the difference between good players and outstanding players are the outstanding players know what's going to happen. They just can see it open up before them. They know when to go fast and they know when to wait.
Well, yeah, you can see it in like two real good ball handlers, two real good guards, you know, Mary Kate and Erin. You could see it in their game. I mean, I talked to them when we took a break, and I said, you two girls probably were the two leading scorers in the team, with maybe Jen. You know, and I said, what you got to do now is your whole game's got to come together, start coming together. You got to make better passes. You got to see the court better. You know, it's not all about you girls scoring. It's about defense, getting the ball to the open girl, because the more you do that, the better off the team's going to be, and the more the 4s and 5s and the 3s will work to get open, knowing they're going to get the ball. And you could see it in the last couple of practices we've had. I mean, especially with Erin. I mean, she's made some beautiful passes. And Mary Kate is real strong taking it to the hoop and scoring, and you can see her now looking for the open girl too.
Well, and I think
but you don't want to take that other part away from
Right.
them.
Well, the other point of emphasis is that we tell the players that we're not just measuring points in the scorebook. It's the scoreboard that matters, not the scorebook. So that if you're setting great screens, you're playing great defense, your general team play, blocking shots, whatever, if you're doing whatever it takes to be successful at your position, then you know, you're going to carve out a role for yourself.
Yeah, and when you need to have great kids to coach. That's number one. You know, some people say, well, you know, you don't have to have players that love the game. Well, you know, they've got to at least like it. But I can see players that we have that have come down, 6th graders, that need, you know, the compliments.
Right.
Because one of the girls, you know, Gracie, she made 2 good plays, a good rebound and then a nice pick. And I let her know how happy I was, and you could see it in her face. You know, and they're looking for that because they're really trying to get to know the game and try to get to enjoy it.
That gets back to the positive dog, and that encouragement is the fuel that breeds success. So the more encouragement you get, the harder you're going to work. The harder you work, the more successful you're going to be. And you know, it's hard to be negative. I mean, you have to keep people from making negative plays, but you can't be negative toward a player on any kind of consistent basis and expect them to improve.
But talk about, like in one instance we're running a drill and I wasn't happy, so I stopped it. Talk about that part of it. Would you
Sure.
say you would get on the girls like I did?
Well, no, we were doing individual drills and we're having them triple threat position, making a crossover from right to left, and you have to dribble with your left hand when you're going left. And one girl, it doesn't matter who, you know, did it incorrectly 4 times in a row. And I said, I don't really care if we're here the rest of the afternoon. We're going to do it right. And you have to be able to explain what to do, how to do it, and why. The answer is, if you try to cross over from that move, step across with your right, dribble with your right, the defensive player is just going to take it out of your hand. So when they say, oh yeah, I can see that that's going to, then they'll do it right because they know why they're doing it.
Right, like we try to explain to them, and I think it's important, especially in the 6th grade, is, you know, when you do a hesitation move, you know, I like to explain to them why you do a hesitation move. You don't just do a hesitation move for the heck of it, to do a hesitation move. And you explain why, and so they understand, okay, that's why we're learning the hesitation. Or do we cross over? Why do we have to have a hard crossover close to your body?
Right, a crossover isn't just switching one hand to the other. You've got to combine change of direction and change of pace to create separation. You know, and separation is where you get open shots.
So it's very important to explain why you're doing drills. Like the chase drill, we tell them why we do the chase drill. You got to feel pressure, someone chasing you, and then running the wing, and then the person pushing the ball up's got to get up the court quickly to make that pass in a fast break.
Well, and then that goes into why you've got to be able to make an underhand layup, because if you go full speed overhand, you're going to miss some because you're just not able to translate your straight line speed into a vertical move.
Like Caitlin up in high school now, there's no one who shoots an underhand layup like she does. She'll get her underhand layup off with people on her. She keeps it close to her body, and you don't know where it's going to go, and all of a sudden she'll lay it in underhand, and you can't block those because she uses her body to protect it. So once they learn that, but I think the key is 7th and 8th graders start learning the game a little better. So hopefully the coaches have explained it enough to them why they're doing drills. But you know, like when we do that passing drill, you
Right.
got to do it full speed because you got to get used to passing the ball going full speed, catching it going full speed, and then putting it on, finishing full
Right.
speed.
One of the projects I'm trying to work on right now is on Google. There's a function called Google Drive, and you can have shared files with other people. So I'm trying to create a nationwide shared basketball coaching file, and I've sort of been in contact with, you know, a fellow who's in basketball education. He's willing to do that, so that some of the information, it's not for information for me. I'm interested in having other coaches who want to share 2 or 3 things into this big file. There could be thousands of teaching points that you can look at and say, oh, that's a small point. I really didn't know that, to help make yourself a better coach and your players be more effective. It's not like there's any secrets in basketball, but,
No.
but even if you know a lot doesn't mean you know everything. We talk about in the NBA, the highest percentage shots are layups, free throws, and open corner threes. So the good teams tell people covering the three-point shooter in the corner, do not help. Stay on him because, for example, Jeff Green shot 46% on open corner threes. Well, 46% on corner threes is 69% on twos.
Well, what about Allen hitting that three-pointer?
Exactly.
But that was off a rebound where Popovich, what's his name?
Yeah.
Totally screwed up by not putting Duncan in there, letting Bosch come down with the rebound to kick it out to him. But the defensive player who was on Allen should have realized, let them get a two-pointer. We're up 3 points.
Right.
I got to stay with Allen.
But if you love basketball and you love the NBA, then you know that. And if you see the defensive guy help from the three, and then they get an open three, you say, like, he did it wrong. His natural instinct was to help, but the way he's taught is don't help.
Right.
Anyway, well, we're on the cusp of the Red Sox going into the postseason, and anybody who thinks the Red Sox is going to walk over Tampa, I don't expect that to happen. Tampa's, number one, they're on a roll. They've had to work hard to get in the playoffs. The schedule wasn't that bad for them because they've got off days, and they'll have 2 of their top pitchers, Moore and Price, going 1-2.
Yeah, and they'll have Moore twice in 5-game series. A strong lefty. Price going in the second game. Price will probably pitch the 5th if they need him to, you know, in relief. But they're going to have top-notch pitchers in the bullpen, either Cobb or Hellickson, I believe, unless they both start.
Well, even if they do, they'll have Archer, and Archer's a real good pitcher too. I mean, there's always talk about Joe Madden being a great manager. Anybody can be a great manager if you have great pitchers.
I've said that for years. I mean, you just
Absolutely.
look at him. He's getting pitcher after, and then he gets Archer. It's unbelievable, the pitches he gets.
Well,
you know, Cobb in the last couple of years.
and they traded away Shields to get Myers. So, you know, they've got Longoria, who's hitting better. You know, the key for the Red Sox is they've got to hit left-handed pitching.
Well, the key is they're going to win the close games. They're all going to be close. They're all
Yeah.
going to be close games. I think it's going to be a 5-game series, and I'm just looking at it. Tampa Bay's hot now. Tampa Bay hates the Red Sox. The Red Sox hate them.
Well,
And it's going to be a great series.
You get Nava out of there against left-handed pitching for Gomes. That's, you know, Gomes is good against left-handers. You do nothing to Stephen Drew. Drew cannot hit left-handed pitching. All right, he had a double against somebody the other day, but he's hitting less than 200 against left-handed pitchers. I saw a statistic the other day. After the first 2 months of the season, his OPS was 824. They were saying, well, the first 2 months of the season don't count anymore, I guess.
Yeah.
And then Ellsbury's, you know, not as effective against left-handed
Well, they have
pitching.
Victorino, who's bats righty all the
Yeah.
time now. So
You know, to me, the key guy
Middlebrooks?
is Napoli. Napoli's got to hit.
yeah, Middlebrooks too. I
Yeah.
mean, they'll have them bat in the middle of the lineup. You know, you have Pedroia there.
They said that they will pinch hit for Drew late in the game against left-handers if it's close.
I think it's going to be a great series. I mean, for a baseball fan, I mean, again, I'm a Yankee fan. I'm looking forward to this series. You know, it's going to be good baseball, good pitching, good defense. And now both teams have good bullpens. Tampa was a little shaky there, but now they can move one of their starters in there.
Yeah,
and
I don't
they'll
know.
be all set.
You know, I would have been tempted to go with Buchholz as the pitcher instead of Lester, but maybe they're just concerned about his stamina.
Yeah, and they'll have Lester twice if they need him.
Right.
You know, and then you know why they pitching Lackey at Fenway. He's much better at Fenway than on the road.
Well, I guess they say Buchholz is better on the road.
And then Buchholz on the road, he'll be the first pitcher. He'll pitch that first game in Tampa. You know, and then they'll.
Well, there were a couple things I was pleased to see at the end of the season. Number one, Daniel Nava finished hitting .303. What a great story. A guy comes out of the independent league. They signed him for $1. He's released after he hits a grand slam in his first at-bat. He's ultimately released and then brought back, after a designated for assignment to the minors, where he stays for a year. And here he is. I think he finished 8th in the American League in batting and hit .303. Was in the top 10 in on-base percentage.
Yeah, he was ahead of Pedroia on base percentage and batting average. Pedroia got up to .301. He got 6 hits in his last 2 games.
Right, so they sat Pedroia during the final game too, so they both got to hit .300, which I thought was nice. But you got to feel happy for Nava. He's just had a baby a couple months ago.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully he'll get a little bit of a raise.
And how about Salt Lamakia? He's making $4 million this year.
No.
He may triple it. On the open market.
He could.
He's going to triple it. He's going to get 12. If Victorino got 14, he'll get 12 million. You watch.
Yeah.
The Yankees may give it to him.
Well, who do the Yankees have catching right now?
They have no one now. They have Stewart, and they had.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, they don't have anybody catching the Yankees. They'll give it to him or that other catcher from the National League, who's a free agent.
Oh, McCann.
Yeah.
Oh, McCann's the Braves catcher, really top catcher.
You may see 3 Red Sox on the Yankees next year. When you really look at it.
The Giants signed Hunter Pence for 5 years and $90 million.
Yeah.
So if Pence can get $90 million, Ellsbury can get $90 million.
Oh, you know he's going to get it. You know he's going to.
I hope the Red Sox don't give it to him, because I don't. Every time he gets hurt, he'll be out for a month.
He's going to make $100 million for 5 years.
Probably.
But what's his name? Boris will look for 6 years, maybe $115 million.
What about Cano? He's asking for $300 million.
Let him go. You know how I feel about him. He hasn't got one big hit in his life. Well, Cano, he's the biggest joke in baseball.
Well, $300 million.
Everybody says he's looking for $30 million a year. Are you kidding me?
I'm not arguing with you. I just don't. I don't see that the guys that have been paid the ultra big dollars. Josh Hamilton, what did he do this year?
Cano's going to be the same.
Pujols?
Cano's going to be Gonzalez, all right? He's the same. He plays second base. Gonzalez plays first. Cano doesn't steal bases anymore because he put on all that weight, taking steroids, And there was word about him on it, and it never came out. But, I would bet my house that he was on steroids. And I'm a big Yankee fan, but I do not like him. I told you, he gets a 3-run home run in the 3rd inning when they're up 3-1. When they're down 3-1 in the 8th inning, I've never seen him hit a 3-run home.
Well, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what the Yankees do, because they're going to have to spend a lot of money.
No, I would take the hit. Well, I told you where they blew it.
Oh, he's re-signing Sabathia.
Sabathia, when he had a 6-year deal with the Yankees at $20 million a year.
Yeah, he looks.
And after 3 years, he can play out his option. He plays out his option. He's got 3 more years at $20 million. He already made $60 million from him. Plays out his option. The idiot Yankees give him a 5-year contract at $23 million a year.
Well, they have to rebuild the starting rotation. They need a new closer. Granderson's a free agent. Cano's a free agent. A-Rod could be out for the season. Who knows? We don't know.
They got to get back to using their heads. Cashman's as bad as Theo.
Well, you're right. What the point that Ralph's making is, if you have unlimited money to spend as a general manager, you can make a lot of mistakes and survive.
Right. And how do you have guys like Nix? Guys like Nix. I mean, it's unbelievable what Cashman has done with that team. And all right, they got burnt. And I don't blame it all on Cashman with A-Rod. I don't blame that on him. I blame it big time on Sabathia, because you could tell Sabathia was not a $20 million pitcher then. Sabathia was a $15 million pitcher. So if he's going to play out his option, if I'm the general manager, I say, go ahead. Go get bids from someone else, because we're staying with the $20 million for the next 3 years. He would have stuck with it. He played out his option. He would have signed for $20 million. So now they can't sign anybody else because they don't have any money.
All right. They're still paying Teixeira.
Well,
Jeter.
Teixeira wasn't a bad move. Teixeira will come back next year. He'll hit 30 home runs. Not a big-time clutch hitter either.
Euclid
not a
was
winner.
a bad investment.
Yeah.
But he got hurt. But a lot of guys, the deal was that when they got rid of performance-enhancing drugs via testing, guys in their 32, 33 were going to start to look older.
But know what's happening nowadays, Ron, and it's a shame in baseball. It's great for the players. They're giving players, they want to become a better team. So the Red Sox look at Victorino and say, we're going to be better if we have him. But the only way we can get him is pay him $14 million. Even though he's really a $10 million player or $8 million player, we got to give him $14 million to get him. Well, it's the same thing what the Yankees did with Sabathia. Sabathia, they knew he's not a $23 million player. Right now he's about at that time he was about a $15 million. He wasn't winning any big games. His ERA was in the mid threes to upper threes. That's not a $23 million player. A $23 million pitcher is Price.
Well, who do you like? Detroit, Oakland. I don't
Detroit.
I don't see how Oakland can win, but they've been doing it with mirrors all season.
I think Detroit's going to win it all. Although I don't know, Tampa Bay keeps coming back at me with that pitching staff.
Well, I always, the team that always seems to be there is St. Louis. So,
They just killed Pittsburgh today.
Yeah, I know. So St. Louis is good. The Atlanta Dodgers series.
Dodgers are overrated, even though they have those 2 pitches.
Yeah. So I don't really know about that. I guess I got to pick the Dodgers against the Braves. So
maybe Pittsburgh will come back after this tough. They had a big loss today.
Yeah, they got hammered today, I think.
But I don't know if they have the right pitcher going either.
Well, we'll see. It should be interesting. Well, I've enjoyed seeing you. I'm Ron Sen.
And I'm Ralph LaBella, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Sports.